So in this performance, as it's a multidisciplinary concert, there was video elements, visual art, puppetry, and there was live painting, which was a very unique part of the show, where I did this painting live to the musical accompaniment of my pianist friend. And it was done live for a song very close to my heart called the Home Song. And it's a song that me and my pianist friend, we spontaneously created it. So it was not a song that was written, it was almost a song that was just sung at the moment. And I followed his tune and he followed my words. So it was a collaboration, but almost of an instinctive level. And this painting also is a very spontaneous one, which was done live for that music, for that song, based on how I felt that very moment. So it's actually not rehearsed. And this song, Home Song, is actually about how I feel quite homesick here in UK and how I often miss home, as I really did face a lot of challenges here, but past that I still paint and I still do my work, and the Song Story project was something that was to be very healing. And so this painting that I did is actually about how much I miss home and how I see it as a painting, but done live in that moment. And also I want to say that though it is spontaneous, during the rehearsals though, just to get familiar with the material, I did other spontaneous paintings, like other versions of the painting, live painting for the Home Song during the rehearsals that we had. So this was one version of the painting I did and this is also another version of the live painting I did. And as you can see, you could see from this too that nothing is rehearsed, nothing is planned, because every version is different, true to how I felt that moment. So this is very precious to me. So another important part in this project is creating these puppets and having them painted, as every song had like its army of puppets and scenographic elements kind of accompanying it as a visual accompaniment. And as the visual artist and designer in this show, I actually did drawings, illustrations of these puppets, and I designed them as kinetic structures. And I also had mock-up mock-up puppets that I'd made so that the musicians will know the idea right from the beginning. And these designs and drawings that I did were laser cut. So while the designs had been sent to be laser cut, in the meantime the musicians actually practiced with the mock-up puppets and pieces. And when the laser cut pieces came back, I actually did paintings of it. And I faced certain challenges with getting these pieces on time in the correct configuration. So I had to move my paint day a little bit, so I had much lesser time to paint. But I managed to paint all these puppets, this whole army of puppets, in a very short pocket of time, like overnight. And all these puppets had different color schemes. The sea puppets had colorful, bright colors for corals and fishes. And then there were sea elements, there were musical notes, and there was a baby puppet, there's this Little Mermaid character, and so many, and I had to put a lot of love into painting the details of these puppets. So every dream project has setbacks and challenges, and Song Story Project 2 had many challenges and setbacks we had to overcome. And one of the biggest setbacks for me, as I was also the visual artist and I was taking on many roles, so I had a challenge regarding the puppets. So in this project, I was the director, visual artist, songwriter, performer, composer, and I had so many roles that I was doing, also organizer. So one of the challenges that I really faced, which affected my work, was with these puppet designs. So I'd designed these puppets and painted it, created these puppets for every song. So the way the process works is I do an illustration and then later, with the help of my staff, I got it turned into a Vectorworks design that can be laser cut. And when we first gave these designs to get laser cut, the laser cut wooden pieces were much smaller in size than the size that I wanted. So I had to wait for it to be recut again. And in this project, we had to follow a very strict production schedule because we had to do a lot of work in a very small pocket of time. So I had certain days allocated as paint days. But now, since I had to wait for the pieces to be recut, I actually had to push my paint days backwards, which again affected all the other production work, like the musicians had to rehearse with the actual puppets. But then there was a way we tackled it where I had done mock-up puppets with the help of a friend to actually rehearse, for the musicians to rehearse with puppets. So we managed, but this setback really affected me. And so now, after these pieces came back, cut in the correct size, now the holes were actually too big. I had designed these puppets to have 3 mm or 4 mm hole for it to function well. And the reason I used very thin wood is so that it would be fluid and the performers can handle it easily. And it's also from a point of risk assessment, it would be more safer to handle and it could go to the audience freely. But then because the holes were really big, and it instead of 3 mm, 4 mm, I got M16 and M10 hole sizes, and it was extremely big. And even the head of this mermaid wouldn't even stand initially because of that. So I had put in initially the screws, 3 mm and 4 mm screws with washers, and it was too loose, it didn't work. And then I actually got correct bolts for the M16 and M10 holes, the actual size. But those bolts were extremely heavy and would weigh the puppet down, and this head would not at all stand, the hair would not at all stand. And then finally, as a solution, I'd actually stuck these washers and got like 3 mm, 4 mm screws put inside it, and that was the option that actually worked, so that and the puppet was able to move. So in the spirit of the show must go on, we managed, and the puppet was ready for the show.